and welcome back to my channel. This is Marla. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. We have this cute little baby shower card featuring the egg carton chicks add-on. This is a die set from Scrappy Crafts. I did create a card and I'll link it at the end of this video earlier this month using this die set. This die set is packed full of adorable little Easter eggs, chicks, and then we have hatching chicks. And I thought that those little hatching chicks were perfect for a spring baby shower card. I started by die cutting the base layer. This is a layering die. You'll notice that I do have my Altenew stamp wheel mat. This mat will help hold my die cuts in place as I do the coloring. Now, as I cut this one out, when I was taking it out of the die cut, it kind of curled on me, and so I did end up having to kind of use my bone folder just to press it into my mat and straighten it out a little bit. And once I did that, it held in place beautifully. Right there is where I'm using it. I'm coloring it with my Copic markers, so we're going to be using our Copic markers today. I did mention that this is a layering die set, so you get really beautiful dimension with this die. I will add additional dimension because that's just who I am, but for those of you that are not huge fans of a lot of dimension, this is going to, the pieces that come together in this particular die really do add to the character of this adorable chick. So I started out by coloring the face and the wings. I forgot that the body was poking out. I was thinking that that the middle section was just the egg, and then I realized that I have the body that I have to go back and color. So I'll go back and do that. But I did use my Y11, and this is accent opaque cardstock, 80-pound cardstock. So I started with my Y11 and I just quickly colored over the areas that I wanted to be yellow. This allows the ink to absorb into the paper, and then when I start adding my shadows, it just blends a little bit better for me. So I added the darkest color next, which was going to be my Y15, and you'll notice that I did my shading on the main bird down where the egg is cracked and he's coming out of it. At the top of his head, I'm also going to add shading there. I'll add it around the wings, and then I'll blend it out with a Y13. I'll go over it again with my Y11, and then I'm going to repeat the process. And this is going to really add dimension. There are lines in the wings that have been put into the die, so it does emboss these areas. So you can see where the separation of, I guess, the feathers would be, and I accentuated that by using my shadowing. It's one of the great ways to really bring things, have them pop. And you'll notice when I have the finished card that the yellow on the bird, even the base layer of the upside down bird that's just struggling to get out of his eggshell, that there's lots of nice dimension there because of that shading. These dies do have a few tiny pieces, not this one in particular, but the little bird that's popping out. The facial features do have these little itty bitty tiny pieces, and I would recommend having reverse tweezers or a jewel picker. It really does make your life a little bit easier. But again, I wouldn't go without those pieces because I think that they add to the character. I wanted to make a baby shower card, as we talked about, and in order to change the vibe of the birds, I went ahead and used some pink gingham cardstock that I had in my stash, and I used the layers that were the shell Here I'm adding this, I think it's 1/4 inch foam tape from scrapbook.com. It's some of my favorite foam tape for using on small die cut pieces. And so I'm going to add that to the back of each of those gingham, those pink gingham eggshells. But first I want to color underneath where the eggshell is. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm using that foam tape that is going to, if you look at certain angles, you're going to be able to kind of see down behind the gingham paper and the base layer. And so I want to make sure that you're not going to see the white. I think the white would stand out just a little bit more. So I took this R81 marker. You notice that I didn't even color the whole thing. I left the center uncolored because I only needed the edges to be colored, and that would camouflage that. So I'm going to do the same thing for the remaining 2 pieces on the larger little chick. And then we're going to start moving on to the face. My camera did shut off and I didn't realize that it had shut off. And so I did get the eyes and the eyebrows put on, but I am going to show you the little pieces for the cheeks and how I used my little jewel picker to add those to the face. I also left off the belly of the chick. So there is an extra piece that I didn't realize until maybe it's going to be right here that I needed to color it up, and I needed to add that to this larger chick as well. So there's lots of little layering pieces. Again, it adds to the charm of the die cut. I saw this die when Sabrina showed us the release and allowed us to decide what we wanted to use for our projects. And when I saw this one, I did immediately think baby shower. I just think that the idea of the little chick coming out of the shell and the other one popping up just really makes for an adorable either welcome baby or baby shower card. Either one, I think that it's just the perfect little image. So it's another reason to use this die cut rather than just saving it for Easter. So I used my Anna Griffin die cutting machine and I did cut out the remaining pieces. For the legs, there are 6 different legs and I wasn't sure which ones went with which, so I cut all of them out and then I'll figure out which one goes to which body later. But first we're going to add the cheeks to our little chick, and then we're going to add the beak. I think this is a YR2. I do end up using this same color for the legs of the chick. And then finally for the body, I am going to color in the bow tie. I chose to go with pink for my card for a baby girl. If you weren't sure whether it was a boy or girl, a green would be a really pretty neutral color. If you went with kind of a minty green, I think that that would be pretty. You could use striped paper, floral paper. There's a lot of different ways that you could change up those little eggshells with pattern paper and a little paper piecing. And I think that it just would allow you to customize this particular card. I colored the bow tie with an R81 and then I added in an R83, I believe, to add a little bit of shading. I'm going to glue that under the chin. I thought maybe I might put it on top of the eggshell, but it looked a little bit silly, so I decided to stay with my original plan and just use the pink bow tie. Here's that little piece I was talking about that I needed to color, so I'm using the same markers, the R11, the R15, and finally I'll blend it out with that R13. I keep saying R for this, Y13, yellow, yellow, yellow. This is a Y, Y11, Y13, and Y15. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. So Easter's just around the corner. And I'm so excited because Easter is one of my favorite holidays. I talk about this every year. We thought that we were going to go spend a week with my son and my grandson. It was his first birthday, or my grandchildren, but it's my grandson's first birthday this Sunday. And the weather thwarted us. So we were not able to be there. We're going to have to go next month. We will obviously enjoy spending time with him, but I really didn't want to miss his first birthday. But there's a big snowstorm coming through. And we were going to be traveling on Sunday, and they had snow today where my son is, but where our house is, they're having a major snowstorm on Sunday and Monday, and Sunday would have been our travel day. They're talking maybe 55-mile-an-hour winds. So Easter's going to be spent here, and I'm really kind of happy about that part of it, just because I love sunrise service. And yeah, going up to the Midwest, we wouldn't be able to enjoy a sunrise service outdoors like we're going to be able to do here. The weather should hold up for us, and I'm super excited about that. But again, I'm really sad about missing my grandson's birthday, but I'll give him lots of cuddles and loves next month. So I added my legs. I figured out which legs went with which bird. And then these are the little cracks in the shell. So I am going to color those with, I believe it's the R81 marker. It's just going to be that solid pink. I thought about cutting them out from the gingham, but they're such small pieces that I thought coloring them would allow the accent to stand out just a little bit more. So I'll get these colored up with that marker, and then I'll use my jewel picker and my reverse tweezers to get those on those eggshells. For my background, I did create it off camera. I started with an A2 top folding card base, and then I cut the pink gingham paper to 4¼ by 5½ inches using my guillotine trimmer. I went ahead and glued that. Then I took a stitched rectangle that was smaller, and I cut out the accent opaque cardstock. I used some Tim Holtz Distress Oxide ink in spun sugar, and I used a very old, this must be 10 years old, that little paint swatch on that background. And so I just inked that up and stamped it, and then I used a sentiment from my stash and some gray ink and stamped that congratulations. And so that's how that background came together. All I need to do to complete this adorable baby shower card is to adhere both of my chicks. I could have went with just the one, but I really thought the one coming out of the shell really bottoms up really was such a cute little die cut that I didn't want to leave it off, and so I added it to the front of my card along with the full chick. And once I do that, I'm going to add a couple of embellishments. Sabrina had these hearts, these pink hearts, this beautiful mix. It had little jewels in it, and it had some kind of similar to the picked raspberry color, if you're familiar with the Distress inks, mixed into this shaker mix, this sequin mix. And so I went ahead and I pulled those out, and I added those as accents to my card. Here I'm just using my Tombow eraser. I didn't like where I had that little chick, so if you have some dried glue on your panel, you can use that little Tombow sand eraser, and that will easily get that extra glue off. And anyway, so I like to do odd numbers, so I'm going to start with 3 in the upper left hand side and 3 in the lower right, and then I'll mix in one more to the right of the swatch, or maybe to the of the egg, and that will complete the card for today. So again, I like to keep my little jewels. I try for the most part to keep them in odd numbers. Once I get them in place, I'll just use that little jewel picker and I'll pick it up, add some glue underneath it, and then I'll place it back down. Easy peasy, quick and easy. So I hope you enjoyed this card today. If you haven't shopped the Scrappy Tales release, I will have a link to the store in the description box, along with a link to this die that I use that's absolutely adorable, that can be used beyond the Easter holiday. I want to wish you a very happy Easter, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Thanks so much for watching.